Again. Let's get into the Instant Farmer chapter number 3. As after lunch, Greg gives Ken a phone call. He wants to know what the plan for dinner will be. Maybe they can get together for something to eat later. That sounds good to Ken. They are officially going out to dinner. When they hang up the phone, Ken gets dressed in his athletic clothes. He feels like going for a jog in the park. That is exactly what he needs. Lacing up his running shoes now. He doesn't bother to look at his reflection in the mirror before going out. He just leaves his apartment. At the park, he has found a flat patch of grass so he can go for a jog. He starts by stretching his muscles. Always start by stretching. When he feels like he is ready, Ken starts to run in a large circle on the grass. He is really working up a sweat. Well, sweat is the desired outcome. He is really testing his stamina. Just about finished jogging for the day, Ken decides to walk back to his apartment. He has a large glass of ice water waiting for him in his kitchen. The water is the only thing that he can think about. It seems like his need for water is causing him to walk quicker. That water is going to be so good. Inside his apartment, Ken makes a direct line to the kitchen. He grabs the full glass of water and turns it into an empty glass. He turns on his television. He changes the channel a few times. There, he likes that channel. He is watching music videos on the television. The music videos really have his attention. The phone rings. On the line is a weird message. It is a recording. The message is telling Ken not to throw away the seeds and to embrace his new life. Yes, very weird. What could it mean? Who is it from? He goes back into the living room. As far as apartments go, his is quite large. He has about 900 square feet. It is a 2-bedroom with a huge balcony. He is currently using the second bedroom as his office. He is not giving the strange message much thought. He finds his way into his office. He wants to focus on his new project. Yes, Ken is the type of employee that takes his work home with him. Inside his office, Ken wants to review the specifications for the project. He sees that the condo is scheduled to be 30 stories tall. That is a big one. He is going to get the architects to draw up some plans for the condo. There's a lot of money to be made in the construction world. The phone rings again, and again it is the strange message. The message is telling him not to throw away the seeds and to embrace his new life. Ken doesn't think too much about it. He kind of laughs it off. Seeds. There are no seeds for him to throw out. Ken decides to give Greg a phone call. He wants to get an opinion regarding the condo project. It is so nice to have somebody like Greg to bounce ideas off of. On the phone now. Greg says, "Hello." Ken says, "Hi Greg, how is it going today?" Greg says, "Thanks for the coffee earlier, it really made my morning." Ken says, "Yeah, no problem, I really like your dog." Greg says, "Yeah, Lola is so nice. So what's up?" Ken says, "I have a question about a project I'm working on. Would the customer of a condo prefer a large balcony or a terrace? I'm leaning towards terrace." Greg says, "Your instincts are correct. People like usable outdoor space that is private. You'll be very happy if you build a unit with a terrace." Ken says, "Oh, thanks, man." Greg says, "Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Are you still up for dinner later today?" Ken says, "Yeah, I'm definitely up for dinner later. Actually, I have been getting some strange phone calls today. Greg says. What do you mean? Ken says. The phone rings and I answer it. There is a message on the other end. It tells me not to throw away the seeds and to embrace my new life. To tell you the truth, it is kind of creepy. Greg says. What do you make of it? Ken says. I really have no idea. It kind of creeps me out. Greg says. It sounds like a telemarketer trying to sell you something. Don't let it bother you, and it will go away in a short amount of time. Ken says. Okay, thanks for the confidence. Greg says. See you later today. The two of them hang up the phone at the same time. Ken feels a bit unsettled. It is as if the phone call is really bothering him. He feels like taking a walk, so he changes into some casual clothing and quickly leaves his apartment. Inside the elevator, Ken is not alone. He is in the company of two young women. He is attracted to them. They are very nice. He does not have the confidence to talk to either of them. That's fine. The three of them get out of the elevator on the ground floor. One of the women gives Ken a smile as they walk through the lobby. Ken smiles back at her. Outside of the building, the weather is just about perfect. Ken takes a deep breath of the fresh air. He really likes his apartment. He starts to walk. Around the block today would be great, just to clear his head. He stops walking at a familiar location. He stops just outside of the corner store. Ken wasn't planning to buy anything on his walk. Nevertheless, he enters the store. This store is so familiar. He, of course, was there earlier today. He is not sure why he found his way inside. He walks around the inside twice before deciding to buy some candy-coated chocolate drops. That purchase made Ken smile. He opens the package as he passes an alley, takes a piece of candy and tries to eat it. This candy tastes funny. He quickly spits out that first piece of candy and says, "Nuts." Before he could look away, something happened. As the piece of candy is airborne, it transforms into a plant. Many, many roots are grown so quickly. The roots of the plant have attached themselves to the ground of the alley. They have grown into a mighty crop. He is amazed. He touches the plant and notices that there is an assortment of nuts being grown. He also notices that the nuts are holding steady at their peak. They are perfectly ripe and ready to be picked. This is so scary to Ken, but he does not run away. He takes a good look at the package of candy. It looks as normal as can be. He takes another piece of candy and inspects it. It seems okay. He starts to think out loud. Is this what the phone call was talking about? Before leaving the alley, he looks around the street to see if anybody has witnessed what had just happened. No, there is nobody around. He is curious of the crop. He does not shy away from picking a chestnut from the plant. He looks at it carefully. Seems to be normal. Ken remembers that he called out nuts when he spit the candy out, so his scientific curiosity is wanting him to experiment. He takes one piece of candy in his hand and tosses it to the ground. As the candy is in the air, he calls out mango. The piece of candy falls to the floor harmlessly. What happened? What did he do differently? Yes, of course. He has to start to eat it. He picks up the candy from the floor of the alley, wipes it on his shirt to clean it. Then he puts the candy in his mouth, bites down on it, spits the candy to the floor. As the candy is airborne, he calls out mango. That did it. The piece of candy transforms into a mighty crop. The roots are growing instantly. The roots attach themselves to the ground, and the plant grows as tall as Ken. Within a minute, flowers start to blossom. The flowers give way to fruit. Mangoes are being grown as Ken watches. This should not be happening. Ken quickly rubs his eyes in disbelief. Ken now has two plants, one full of nuts and the other full of mangoes. He runs into the corner store and asks the clerk for 4 plastic bags. The clerk tells him that he can have 8 bags for $1. That sounds even better than 4 bags. He quickly goes back into the alley, picks the mangoes first. He picks the fruit and places each perfectly ripe mango into the plastic bag that he just purchased. Once the last mango has been picked, the plant disappears as if it was never there. And this is a relief to Ken. And he then starts to pick the nuts from the other plant. The plant dies down and disappeared also once the last nut had been picked. Ken doesn't know what to say. He just witnessed the impossible. He has some kind of magic seed in his life. Well, whatever it is, it yielded an excellent product. Ken picks up the bags full of mangoes and full of nuts, then hurries back to his apartment. That concludes this chapter. I hope you enjoyed listening. Again, if you want to read along with me, then you should pick up a copy of my ebook from Kindle. Goodbye until the next chapter.